All right. And we are there. Hello. Let me take this down because they can see that.
What was that?
Girl, a towel. Well, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I was really tired because workout was extremely tough. I guess I
Mm.
graduated to another level or something because he added 15 minutes of cardio and then the weights was heavier.
Wow.
So yeah, that part. So I took a 10-minute lay down. It wasn't even a nap, but yeah, 10 minutes.
Just to kind of like reset.
Yeah, I was trying to sleep, but I didn't go to sleep. So yeah. And you went to work today, right?
I went to work today. Um, I'm at practice today. I'm just doing a lot today.
Yeah, you had a day
So
like me. Sounds like.
yeah, minus the workout. We ain't do no working out, which I
Well,
need
I
to.
mean, it's still busy because after I worked out, I washed my truck, right? And then I had to throw a load of clothes in there. So it just was a busy day for both of us. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. I
Hmm.
had to. I try to. What I do is I put a load of clothes in the morning,
Yeah.
and then when James gets home, he puts it in the dryer, and then we fold together at night.
Okay. Well, see, I wash and then Tyrone does the folding because I hate folding.
Oh, yeah. We
Yeah.
was reading, our book, His Needs, Her Needs. That was one of the chapters about like domestic stuff and like splitting it up. And if
Mm,
somebody don't like doing it, trying to figure out what you like and what you don't like, and then splitting it up accordingly.
you're right. Because somebody has to do it, right? Like, I wish I could hire somebody to do the cooking. If I could get rid of one thing when we move, it would be cooking, hiring somebody to meal prep, like to just cook for us.
I would cook for you, but it wouldn't be what you wanted to eat.
Oh, well, look, I just would tell you certain things that I wouldn't eat. And then, as long as you work around that other stuff, that would be good.
Tony, you don't eat anything but grass.
Well, I mean, so that shouldn't be hard to cook, right?
No, because then I'll be like, is this too salty? Is this too? I'll be so concerned about all that.
Yeah. So that's probably what the person who would cook for us would have to go through too. See, with Tyrone, it wouldn't be. He's so plain. Like he can eat. He eat all regular foods. Just basic though. Right? He don't like no fancy stuff. None of that. No. But then with me, yeah, it would be a whole menu. Nope, I don't want this. Can't have that. Nope, this. Yeah. So, why you
And
think I don't want to cook?
oh, I see exactly why you don't want to cook. That's why I don't want to change my diet because I don't want to have to be like, oh, let me look at this and let me look at that and let
That
me.
is true. That is
Oh, because
true.
unfortunately, it's easier to be unhealthy than
It
it is
is.
to be healthy.
Unhealthy is everywhere. And
Yeah,
as I said, like right now, we stay in the hood. Unhealthy is everywhere. Like literally, I would have to go out of this zip code to get something healthy.
I'm trying to think about us. We have in my vicinity. Yeah, it's really no. The closest thing to healthy I think we have is Chipotle.
Yeah, I was looking at Chipotle. I like their guac, right? Like they make
Hmm.
it fresh every day. I like their bowls.
Yep.
You just have to monitor what you're getting in the bowls, right?
Uh
The
huh.
white rice is not going to be good. Get the brown rice.
The
And
pinto
get more
bean.
vegetables. Pinto beans. Yep. So that's pretty good. But we don't even have a Chipotle in this zip code.
And then then it's mixed in with the McDonald's and the uh you know Panda Expresses and
Oh
the
yeah.
Starbucks and the
Yep.
Taco Bells and all
Mm,
that. All of that's right there in
yep.
the Zaxby. So It's like, do I want Zaxby's, Guthrie's, or Chipotle, or do I want? And then this is another thing that bothers me about healthy places. Usually, you gotta walk in them. There no drop. Like Chipotle's not a drive-through.
Well, that makes sense though, right? You get your exercise as you go in. They smart.
But also, it's sometimes people are gonna go for convenience after a long day of work. They
Most
don't
times.
want to, they don't want to move. They don't want to move around. They don't want to. They want to go through that drive-through, pick their food up, and go home.
I never paid no attention to that until you're saying that because you're
Uh
right.
huh.
Chipotle, I have not seen a drive through.
They have one, but where we are, you have to pre-order it, and a lot of times your mind is not set on pre-ordering the food and then picking it up.
Okay.
You'd have to really, and I get it because it's like almost really rewiring your brain, right, to
Mm.
do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to rewire your brain to say, okay, I gotta order this food, then it's already changing. It's like that book that I read earlier this year. It's about habits, forming habits,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the start of forming a new habit, I think, by just even saying I gotta order this food instead of like going through the drive through.
Right. I mean,
But
yeah, that reminds me of like meal prepping, right? So if I meal prep, I don't have to think about going in the refrigerator looking for something. I already got it prepared for me. Instead
mm-hmm.
of if I go in the refrigerator, chances are I might grab something that I'm not supposed to have.
But the meal prep takes so long in the beginning.
Uh-huh. Exactly. I've never done it, right? I was thinking about meal prepping today. I was like, you know, when we probably get our home, like I'm gonna do a lot of my own, of course, growing vegetables and my own stuff, right? So I'm thinking that I could meal prep, but I just know that some people it takes them a whole day to meal prep.
It's a whole nother job. It's a
Right.
whole. I used to meal prep. And you have to cook. You have to buy like for the week. I would meal prep Monday through Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like buy all the food because you gotta like we did breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I'm saying, right.
So and
That's
then the
a lot.
snacks between. So the good thing is we would make a protein shake for breakfast. So that was pretty simple. I just had to make sure I had all my stuff, that I wanted to do, and I would write down which smoothie I wanted for that morning,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would do something like a salad or something like that for lunch. And then dinner is where it kind of got crazy because you can only eat so much chicken every day and stuff. So
Exactly. Right.
yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's way but all of it is making you think different,
Mm-hmm.
and your brain is making you think different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think once you learn how to start thinking like that, then other things that used to be hard don't get hard anymore. Like then you might say, okay, well let me go ahead and try to walk a little bit. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's something that once you conquer something like meal prep, I do think that opens your mind up to try to conquer other things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, meal prep to me and working out consistently, certain things, right? Certain difficult things. When you conquer those things, or reading every day, or, you know, just things that most people don't do. I think that once you start doing that, if you can do that, you can do this. If I can do that, then I can do this. So, um, yeah, it opens up your mind to other things.
Mm-hmm. It definitely does. So I don't know. That's something that I can't promise that I'll do right away. But I do want to get into the mindset of like this week I've done really good about being conscious about what I'm eating. And I was able to tell James I only ate this, this, and this. So I'm realizing that I have to have something sweet every day, which is my problem. Because I'm
Is
addicted
it
to the
one
sugar.
time a day?
Just one time.
So, okay, if you don't have to, but you're saying you have to.
Yeah,
If
no, yeah.
right, if you have to, can you cut back on it some? Like, what's your thing? What's your sweet thing?
It don't matter. Vanilla cookies, cake, honey buns, it don't matter. It's something
So
sweet.
you will eat like one honey bun, right?
Hmm.
If you could cut back, can you cut it in half and then that will be you're cutting at least cutting it down.
Yep.
And
I
if
can
you're
start
eating
doing that.
cookies instead of eating 4, eat 2.
Yep.
So gradually just start cutting it back. Cuz I think that in moderation, right? Like I mean, I try not to eat sweets, but shoot, girl, this weekend, man, I ate so much sweets. I tell you, my body started to crave it again. So, like, I was looking like, I want a sundae. I want this. I want that. And that's not my norm. Just from a weekend.
Sugar is like a drug. Like when
Yeah.
you start tasting it and it gets in your system, you really do crave it. Cause I
Hmm.
used to did not have any issues with backing away from sweets. I really didn't. Like I didn't even really deal with sweets.
Hmm.
And then one day I was like, oh, let me just have a bite of this and let me have a bite of that
Yep.
until it was just a
That's all it
it
takes.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But I gotta back away from it because that stuff like the sugars and I'm not even really I don't even think it's the bread for me. I really do think it's the sugar content.
Yeah, I think it's more so it would be bread, but I just try and bypass it. I might have in a week maybe 3 slices of bread because I'm really conscious. You said something earlier, right? It's like the intention,
Yeah.
be conscious of what you're taking in. And I see it because they eat a whole lot of junk here, right? And so I'm like, I think bread would be my thing.
Girl. Yeah, bread is good. Especially them Mrs. Schubert's rolls. Oh, girl.
I never had that. I
Don't
like
don't don't look it up.
okay. I'm thinking like Hawaiian rolls because really it turns out like it's like cake. If you don't eat sweets and you eat something like a Hawaiian roll, any type of cornbread that got sugar in it, it's like cake to me.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you remember like did you ever go to like Ryan's? The it was a buffet, all you can eat buffet
Oh, okay. Mm-mm. We
or
probably
Golden
didn't have it.
Corral.
A Golden Corral. That's funny because we was just talking about that at the gym. I've been to Golden Corral and it's only maybe 3 things I like there. 4. I love those meatballs, right? The meatballs with the gravy, the mashed potatoes, hush puppies, and the ice cream. They soft serve ice cream.
You didn't haven't had their rolls there?
But
They
I
have good
haven't been in
rolls.
so long. Is that them Schuberts or whatever you're talking about?
That's what the Mrs. Schubert's tastes like. Yes, Miss
Oh,
Schubert. Yes,
I
yes,
never. Yeah.
yes. They are so good. And then of course, when you make them and they come out the oven fresh, I can't just let them come out the oven. I gotta like put a whole bunch of butter.
Butter.
And then I was super upset because I let somebody do my groceries this week. Like I did the online order, and they gave me light butter.
Who eat? If I'm gonna eat butter, now that's one thing I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat real butter,
Right. I was so upset. But you know
light
what I
butter
said? I said, look at God. He's trying to get me to change my life. So
with
I
light
was getting ready
butter.
to get, listen, I was about to get in my car and drive back up there, girl. Because I use butter in everything. And I said, and it was something that hit me that was like, nope, you're going to keep it. I said, oh, okay.
Have you tasted like it? Does it taste different?
I haven't tasted it yet. I'm sure it does taste different, but I'm really upset about it.
You're upset.
Because I don't, who eats light butter?
I've never
If
heard
you're
of
going
like
to eat butter, you might as well just eat butter.
I've heard of butter like that's not butter, like what's it called? Country crock
Uh,
or something.
no,
But
I can't believe it's not butter.
oh, that type of stuff. I don't want none of that. I want butter.
I want the real deal.
Yeah, yeah.
I want
So
the real deal. So I was really upset. I was almost beside myself when I realized that they had gave me like I took it out the box out the bag. Katie looked at me like, "What?" I said, "What is this?" So we spoke about the weekend earlier. We had a great weekend.
yeah, that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. Like if people join in because they will, they always do later. But like letting people know that it's possible really to have a long distance relationship,
Mhm.
friendship. You know what I'm saying? Like it is possible. Um, and I just think nowadays a lot of people don't think it's possible.
Yeah, yeah. You just have to be way more intentional about it. It's none of that. Oh, I'll call or I'll text. No, you have to really, really be intentional about it.
Yeah.
You have to have it in the forefront of your mind at all times, and you can't like put it on the other person. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because life be life, and if you're not intentional and then hold each other accountable, like we hold each other accountable for these meetups,
Hmm.
and throughout the week we text each other, and so I think that you definitely just have to be very intentional when you're doing a long distance friendship. I definitely have learned that from our friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was trying to see what makes it work. What are the things that make it work? I think one, in ways we're alike and in ways we're different.
Mhm.
There are some ways
Mhm.
that we are totally different. I'm more like James, and then James, and then you're more like Tyrone in ways, right? So, but I think it's the openness that we allow each other to be each other, right? Not
Yep.
trying to change that person, because that's big. Like just really allowing and being open to receive from somebody else, to hear what somebody else, their input. That's important to me because I don't really have a lot of that.
I think it's also just the amount of grace that we have for each other. Like I think we're very patient with each other, and I also think that we don't, like, if I don't talk to you in a day, I'm not like, oh my god.
Right.
We understand each other. We have a really good understanding.
But
And it's crazy because we never sat down and was like, "Oh, I need you to know this about me." It's just almost like we talked about it and we adjusted based off of what we talked about.
I think in the beginning, when both of us, well, I don't know, I think I was busier than you at the time. But
Mhm.
I think in the beginning, we talked more.
Yeah. Which I think is important because
Yeah.
you need to know if it's somebody that you, in the beginning, I do think that you need to talk and that you need to make that the lines of communication very open because you're getting to know that person and you're trying to see if you want to invest in that person.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then once you realize, oh, I do want to invest in this person, I really, like this person, then I think you get to a point where you just say, let's now, we can lay back off of the relationship a little bit. It's almost like when you have a plant or something. At
Mhm.
first, you got to be like putting out the soil and all that, and watching it and putting it in the sun, and then eventually, when you see it take up roots, it's kind of just like, okay, I just got to water it once a week, and like it's. I think we're in the growing phase. We're not in the planting phase of our relationship anymore. We're in the growing phase of our relationship.
That's a good analogy. I think that means that the trust was built, right? You built the trust, if we're using the plant analogy, in that stage,
Yep.
right? Planting. It's like, I trust that you're going to grow, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
doing what needs to be done
Yeah.
intentionally,
Yeah.
right? Regularly,
Uh huh.
consistently. Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, in the beginning, like you say, it's different. Hey, Andrew, it's different in the beginning because we have to uh make sure.
Better than a pretty truck with a pretty lady.
Oh, thank you. So I think in the beginning, like I said, we invested a lot of communication, a lot of time. That's important in the beginning of a relationship. And then after you do that, you can let go. You can like loosen the reins a little bit
Hmm.
and find a comfortable spot to where, no, we're not talking every day, but we still are talking. We
Hmm.
still communicate with each other. And I think that our relationship is very healthy, which is that says a lot coming from me because I'm somebody that I talk to everybody and everybody's my friend per se, but but like actually working on a relationship,
Yeah.
that part for me is like not, that doesn't come easy for me.
Right. Me either. And I think that this is really the first time I've seen, I guess, outside of my marriage, right? The working on, the really
Mm-hmm.
working on from myself. Because I didn't know what friendship was. So I didn't really know what are you supposed to do? And I wasn't so invested.
Yep.
Yeah. Like
I
I
think
could
yes,
probably
yes.
kind of walk away. Or like you say, not pick up the phone. You may think about the person, but wasn't intentional, right? It was more like, okay, they went past my mind, but I don't feel like talking or whatever. Not really putting in the work, working on the relationship, the friendship.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I think too that is I think in any type of relationship that you in, you gotta understand it is twofold or threefold or whatever, how many other people you got in a relation in that friendship or whatever. You have to realize that it's not you doing all the work and it's not me doing all the work. It's literally us working together, to build what we have together. Like we're both on this phone call. We're both communicating. We're both talking. We're both sharing. Like I don't feel like I overshare with you
No.
because
And
you
so,
share it with me. You know what I'm saying?
but that's so important. And I never,
Oh yeah.
until this friendship with you, I used to feel like either I would get the type of friendships where it wasn't really a friendship, but the person was always telling me their stuff and I wasn't telling them my stuff. That means something, right? Like I didn't feel comfortable enough or safe enough to share. Or either um, I felt like I was being more transparent and vulnerable
Yeah.
in relationships, and I was getting partial bits and pieces back. So it wasn't like equal sharing, like you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. It has to be equal because whether you believe it or not, people can feel that. People can feel when the relationship is not reciprocal,
Hmm.
you know. And I think the worst type of relationship is when there is no reciprocation when it comes to communication. Like you have to know how to talk to somebody and you have to know how to share things. And especially if you want to call somebody your friend, your best friend, your this, your that, you have to understand what that comes with. It comes with a certain level of vulnerability.
Hmm.
And you have to be willing to do that because I think that's what graduates just some type of a relationship into like a true budding friendship when you can say, I'm willing to be vulnerable with this person,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
and that takes trust, like you're saying,
Hmm.
and you can't. Another thing I'm realizing is that you can't just wield it. You can't say it. Like I can't say, "Oh my God, Tony's my best friend." I can't just say that and then, oh my goodness, we're best. Like we could say that if we want to. Like we could say it with our
Hmm.
mouths, and we
Hmm.
could have everybody believing that we're best friends. But then when we do an evaluation and a self check, like, can we like what categorizes you as a best friend?
Right.
Can you
That's
answer
that's
those
key.
questions?
Right. Right. And what that looks like for you, and then for me, right? Because that could be different.
That's right.
Hmm.
That's right.
I'm not one to use that term best friend lightly anymore. I've used it before and it wasn't, right? It was just
Mm-hmm.
because honestly, like I think she said it first. And so I kind of went with it, but I think that really takes some time to really process.
I've used it, I think, twice in my life. The first time I used it, it was with someone who I went to high school with. Like, so it was almost like we've known each other all these years. Of course, we're best friends. We're
Mm,
doing all the things together. Of course, we're best friends. And I think for a while we probably were best friends because we were doing all the things together. We were doing life together, and then we looked up and our lives looked nothing like each other. I was married, she wasn't. I had a child, she didn't. And the best part of life I wasn't really experiencing with her anymore.
Mm.
So for me, in order for me to call you my best friend, I got to be able to share my life experiences with you in some type of way. Or you have to be able, hey, or you have to be able to respect where I am in life. And even though they're not your experiences,
Hmm.
you have to be able to respect and enjoy those experiences with me. And I have to be able to enjoy wherever you are with you. And if you can't find a happy medium, then I think that the title of best friend does somewhat diminish.
Hmm.
And then the second time I think I used it, I think I was in my adult life and had somebody in my life that was very sweet and caring and understanding. And I think that husbands really knew each other and we got along, did a lot of life things together. And at that moment, again, I do think that she was my best friend. But life happened, and I don't think that we're on that best friend wavelength anymore.
Hmm.
And what do you do, right? What do you do when that happens, when life shifts? I think it's only one or two things you can do. You either can realize we're best friends and we got to work through this together, find what's going on, and so we can get back, or you say we're not going to work through this, and then you just kind of like fizzle out.
Yeah, I think most times it fizzles out. I mean, because that happened, it happened for a reason. Eh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it could be something that needs to be looked at. Maybe it's something
Mm-hmm.
that, hasn't been discussed and it's come up, and it just needs to be talked about and
Yeah.
shared
Mm-hmm.
some of both sides. Well, this is going on, blah blah blah. Maybe some tweaks and changes need to occur. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that you can work. Sometimes you can make the decision to work through it. But
Hmm.
like you said, again, it takes both people
Yeah.
being able to come to the table to talk about it and express it. And sometimes people don't have the relational intelligence to do that.
Hmm.
Because then it turns into like a blame game and all this stuff. And you're not going to get anywhere like that because now you're on a defense.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm really learning about communication and processing things and working through things and trying to understand people differently and
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff, because life does happen and people do change. And a friendship can survive that. But you have to get to a point in life of understanding that there has been a change here. What has that change been? And I think the worst thing you do is blame somebody.
Hmm.
Blame somebody for life happening,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. I think one of the worst things is not talking about it.
Yep.
Because it gets uncomfortable. It's like, okay, we see that something is different, but then it's like, okay, what do we do with this?
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Right. And I think that could be hard sometimes to bring it up, because I think that bringing it up means that I don't think people know how to bring it up. That's what it is. You don't know how to bring it up. And so you just notice something shifted and
Hmm.
changed. And
Hmm.
I don't know with James, I'm just real quick to be like, look, I don't know what's going on with us, but something shifted here
Yeah.
and we need to try to figure out how to work through it. That's how I go to James.
Hmm.
I'm just very straight. And I think that's another thing. If somebody's your best friend, they can't come to you straight like that. Are they really your best
I
friend?
just was thinking that. I'm like, that's why people need to be careful of the terms you use, right? Because if it's your best friend, I should be able to bring it to you. But I just think it's just an uncomfortable thing, period. It's hard. That's a tough thing. Like, it's something has changed. Okay, what do we, do about that? You know?
I mean, I think that we've navigated change pretty well because we've known each other now for over a year, I would say.
I
And we
think it just came up on a year, maybe.
like right
Might
at a
have
year,
been in
right? Yeah. Yeah.
April-ish or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that we have definitely gone through some changes since we first met. you know. And I think that we've just been very open about it. I think that's the thing. Because you know when you changing, like you can sense it. So I've changed, and I've just been very open with you about things. You've changed, things have happened to you, and it's nothing that's off limits like that. Like we talk about everything.
Hmm. So that's
Yeah.
probably what it is, just being open with it, instead of holding things in, and maybe you're going through something the other person don't know.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's what I'm thinking, like
Absolutely.
with us, I'm trying to see, that's what I wanted to talk about today, like what makes this work, how does this work? And I'm thinking about, we do talk about everything, we allow each other to share whatever it is, and it's non-judgmental.
Mhm. Yep. I mean, from the very beginning, like our fears. I mean, we talk about everything. It doesn't. We're not. We don't. And I know the thing that I love about us is we don't feel like we're perfect. If
No.
we're sad, we're sad. If we're scared, we're scared. If we're angry, we're angry. It's not one emotion that I experience that I'm scared to share with you. I just, I'm just me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I don't feel like you're gonna be like, what?
No.
Why are you mad about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I even talked to you about Kaden and like the changes that I'm going through her. Like, you know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Something went on with James, and I would share that with you because not just because you're a therapist, but because you're my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't when I make somebody my friend, that's what you are.
Right. um and so, yeah, I think that's, I would say for me, in the past, my relationship a lot of times was off limits, like talking about my relationship stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because, I mean, you got to know who you sharing that with. You got to feel,
Do
and you know, I mean, if you're feeling uncomfortable, it's a reason why. If you feel
mm-hmm.
like I can't share this with, and I think because of the two people who is coming to my mind that I used to share with, one were very secretive with their relationship, you know,
Yep.
or lie, i.e., would lie about certain things, right? And so I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you my stuff,
Why? When that's what I'm saying. That transparency,
right?
that vulnerability. You didn't feel like comfortable doing that.
Right.
Because it's a certain thing. Like I feel like every time I share something with somebody, like today I was writing in my journal. I've gotten into writing into my journal again. I actually think I got 15 devotions now, by the way.
I bet
Um,
you
but I've
do.
gotten really, really good at writing in my journal. And today I was just talking about how hard it is to be a woman and like how we have to put on so many different hats.
Mm,
And at first I used to get really, really upset about like almost being fake. But I've gotten to a point of understanding that no, you have to put certain hats on in certain environments. You have to. So I was telling myself today, and I was encouraging myself today, and saying, Shiante, it's okay if you show up all the way shielded or all the way masked when you go to work or in these church or all these
mm,
spaces. If Because you don't know who you're encountering.
mm,
People need to prove to you that it's okay for you to unlayer yourself. So now I look at myself as an onion. Like I need to be able to. People need to be able to peel back the layers of Shiante. I want to
mm,
start putting layers on, and I'm going to because I used to just be like, hey, 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 everybody's my friend, telling
mm.
everything, and it's like I had to realize that everybody is not good for you, and this information that you sharing, people can turn around and use your words as weapons.
That's interesting what you're saying. I never really looked that deeply about, like, when I'm around people. First of all, I need to self-reflect and see how I am when I'm around people, right? Like, am I
Mm-hmm.
open, or how am I when I'm around? No, I think I'm pretty guarded. I'm
Which
just
is good. No, I remember when we first met. You're guarded in the beginning, very
yeah.
guarded,
Hmm.
very much so. But and I used to take offense when people would be that way because it would almost be. But what I'm realizing is when somebody is guarded like that, you need to respect them because they respect themselves.
Hmm.
And you need to know that if it they're going to attract the people that need to be attracted to them and no nothing nobody else because it's only a certain group of people that can handle that level of guard. Like it's almost like when you go to the White House, certain people don't get through those gates, they don't get, and that's what you're protecting yourself.
Hmm.
You're
But
protecting yourself.
I think it's taught the opposite. I think it's taught that if you're guarded, there's a problem with you. Because I remember
Yeah.
to somebody and it was like, it was said to me that I come with a lot. And that still stays with me now. And I'm like, I come with a lot. Then I had to think about myself. I was like, yeah, I do come with a lot. Because a lot has been done to me. And I've experienced a lot, right? So I had
Hmm.
to like really normalize that I am guarded and I'm okay with that because there's been things that I have gone through and is that a lack of trust? Yeah, it's a lack of trust and I feel like the right people will be able to the barriers will be able to come down. I think that was my issue. Like I always thought I was going to have this space of not trusting.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
if the person respects that, as you said, right? If they respect the fact that, okay, she's guarded, now let me really get to see her. Let me try to see what's to her. Guarded
Yep.
don't make you a bad person. Guarded don't make you somebody who you shouldn't want to be around. It may take a lot more, but at the same time, guess what? If you earn that person's respect or you're able to get their guard down, hey, it must be something to you.
Remember when Adam and Eve sinned in the garden and they went to cover themselves? That was them guarding themselves. We as human beings naturally guard ourselves in order to shield and protect ourselves. That's the way that we feel like we should be able to protect ourselves.
Hmm.
And God Himself is the one that comes and helps us to maneuver and discern. Okay, now it's time to take it down. It's me. You know what I'm saying? So we as human beings, ever since the fall of man, have had to use something to protect ourselves from this world. Because why did they do it? They did it because they felt betrayed. They did it because at this point they felt exposed. You know what I'm saying? So in order for us not to feel betrayed and unexposed and all those things, we guard ourselves. And it takes the Holy Spirit to come in and let us know when we can start to take those guards down.
Hmm.
But I do believe that you should walk guarded. I do believe that's why does the Bible tell you to guard your heart if you're not supposed to do it?
Hmm. Well, why do people act like it's an issue?
Because I think that people take guarded as being rude. And
Oh,
and so they don't want you to be rude. They don't want you to be rude. So because they don't want you to be rude, you learn it when you're a kid. Speak, say hey. You know what I'm saying? Like
oh,
all these
yeah,
things,
yeah,
and it's like
right, yeah.
because it's seen as
You're
being
forced to do
disrespectful.
that. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And what it's doing is it's kind of taking, and I'm not saying that children should not, speak, but past me saying hello to you, I really don't owe you anything else.
Hmm.
I don't have to engage in conversation with you.
Right.
Let me see if you can talk to me, you know? And like I said, I feel like the Holy, and I'm not saying every single time everybody got to come and talk to me. I just think that we need to do a better job of being led by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I think people expect because I'm thinking of one of my clients said that their child, right? He was like 5. And so he met a teacher and the teacher got upset because he didn't well, I mean the teacher was like had a what disposition towards him, didn't really care for him because he was not the touchy
Like
feely. She wanted
standoffish.
to hug him, right? And he didn't want to hug her. That's not him, right? And so she, even when he got in her class, had an issue with him. And so, them as parents had to talk about that and discuss that, because you gotta consider, why is he this way, right? Like, what is going on that he didn't feel comfortable? And that's okay. If he spoke, you
Yeah.
don't have to extend arms to hug somebody
No.
because they want to hug, and that's not being mean. See, sometimes I think people want you to be nice, right? But I don't believe you have to be nice. I think you can be cordial.
Right.
Yeah,
Friendly. People
yeah.
want you to be friendly.
They want you to be friendly. Yeah,
And I don't have to be friendly with you because
right.
it takes me, yes, and I know if I want a friend I need to be a friend, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I do think that we should show that, but I don't think we have to show it right away. Like you said, we can be cordial and see where cordialness leads to. Like, we don't have to be friendly right away.
Hmm. Right,
We don't have to expose ourselves in that way, because in order for me to want to be your friend, I gotta be able to trust you.
exactly. But that's now, I think that that's what a lot of people do. They're exposing or making friendships prior to developing or really seeing what it is, right? So I'm thinking about
Yep.
myself. I'm only speaking for myself, right? That's what I had started to do at one point, like opening myself up, thinking
Yeah.
that this is going to be a friendship, but you got to get to know. You got to get to know the person.
You have to.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I've been missing in the past, that showing up as friendly versus showing up as cordial, and then exposing myself to all of this, and then having to reel myself in when I finally get to see this person as a friend. And it's like, whoa, this is a lot. Like, I wasn't expecting all of this. I didn't get to know you, and now I'm committed in a friendship with you. Like, no, that's backwards.
Right.
Get to know the person first, and then see if you want to be their friend, not be their friend and then get to know them while you in the friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when I think back, I've done that several times for whatever reason, right? Maybe
Mhm.
just desiring. There's been times when I just desired to have friends.
Yep.
So I want to, it seems it's just like any relationship, right? When you're first dating, oh, it's going well, right? Until hit that 3 month mark, hit that 2.5, 3 month mark where they start really revealing who they are. And then it's like, oh, I didn't know this part, and I don't know if I can deal with that,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm. Right. And yeah, I mean, we see all kinds of stuff. Look at Risa Tisa, getting up in the house with somebody, living with people that you don't know them. Like, it is, and I think now that I go back to it, I think that's why this does work, because we did take the time to get to know each other.
Well, because of what we came up off of. I think
Yeah,
that was the caveat that helped us, and we didn't even know it was helping us.
we were very cautious coming into this because of what we had been through.
Exactly.
Yep. It was like,
Exactly.
I want to trust her, but I really do need to get to know her before I trust her. So it
Hmm.
made us show, and no, and I think that because we both had it in our minds, I didn't look at you and judge you for doing it, and you didn't look at me and judge me for doing it. And I think that that's why it worked. We both were cautious in the beginning, and so we showed up differently in the beginning, but it wasn't like weird.
Right. No. Maybe because we were at the same space at the same time.
I think so. Because it actually was easy. It was way easier than I thought it would. If somebody would have told me, Shiante, you have to not show up with Tony the same way you showed up with other people in the past, I'd be like, what do you mean? I don't know any kind of way to show up. And
Exactly.
I don't know if I can do that. Like, how does she even know? I mean, if I show up like that, then she might be standoffish and not think that I'm trying to be her friend and I really want a friend and all these things. And it's like, Yeah, I would have really worked it. I would have really
It
worked
puts
myself.
pressure on it,
Yeah, I
undue
would have worked
pressure.
myself up. I would have worked myself up. Yeah.
Right.
And so I think that, like you're saying, we were just very cautious because of what we had been through. And so much I think it was subconscious cautiousness too. I mean, yeah, subconscious cautiousness. Like we didn't know that we were even doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So I
But
definitely think, yeah.
we were at the same, we had similar experiences. So that was
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I think opened our minds, and we had some things to talk about, right? And to really process. And so as we processed them, we saw that there were similarities there, and then we were able to share ourselves. I think that's what made it
Yep.
easy to share
We
from
shared. We
the beginning,
communicated.
right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't, and it was I can remember like being afraid. I'm like, oh, I don't want to say this to her because I don't want her to think. And I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna say it anyway. And I would just say it, and it would be like, and it's a little bit. It was like I would say little bit things. It was a little bit at a time. It was like little spoonfuls of things. And I think you did the same thing, like little spoonful of things. And then it was like, oh, okay,
I
I
can
can
be
talk to
myself.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be. It was pretty much a no judgment zone. It was a, hey, like if you cuss, hey, if you are who you are, be who you are. I'm not
No
here
limit.
to put that on you, right? You shouldn't be saying that. Or the Bible says so and so, so and so. I know what the Bible says.
But I'm human. And I literally was just having that conversation earlier with Kaden about that, and I was saying, why I think Jesus was so important. Because before that, I think that there had been so many laws and rules and all these stipulations and things that had been put in place, and nobody could meet that standard. Like everybody just felt so overwhelmed with everything, and there was so much punishment and calamity that came from us as human beings just failing over and over again to show up the way that we were being made to show up. And then Jesus comes and he's like, hey, I have a very low uh standard. Like I just need you to come. That's it. I just need you to come. I just need you. I don't care how you come. I just need you to come. And it's like, what? That's it, Jesus? Like that's all you need? And I think that coming to him and knowing that he doesn't care how you come to him just changes the scene of everything. Because before it was, oh, I can't even go before God. I got to go before a priest, and because I'm not clean enough, and all these things. It's like, no, you just come to me. Just come, and then when you come to me, you're gonna you're gonna see yourself through me, and then naturally you're gonna start making changes within, and like along the way, I'm not gonna judge you at all about it, and like I think that doing that and seeing Jesus in that way helps you to see people in that way.
Yeah. I would say man makes all these rules and laws and stuff, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
that when you find people who are, I mean, I come from that religious walk,
legalist.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
mhm,
Everything. If I don't meet this law, then this happens, and da da da. And
yep,
when you were talking, I never really looked at it like that. But Jesus didn't come with all these rules and laws. It was
no,
the Pharisees who were saying, oh, aren't you supposed to observe the Sabbath and blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
and these different things. And it's like, that's that's what scares people away from, actually, if you're thinking that following Jesus means all of these rules and laws, which some people do because that's what the church sometimes, puts out there, right? That's why you have to know for yourself. Then you would steer away from it.
that's right. Because at some point you just can't keep up. You just can't keep up, and that's where I had got to in my life with with my religious mind. It just got to be overwhelming, and I completely left it. I just left it all. I just left it, and then, like I said, it wasn't until I sat back and like was like, wow, and I realized who Jesus was, that I was like, oh, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I can do Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do religion, but I can do Jesus because he's just so different.
Right.
And then it helps me to be able to do me and do life with other people, because if I'm not, because you got to realize when your belief system is based around, oh, if they don't do this, then they don't, that I can't be around them, and I can't, then it changes how you look at people, and it changes your circle.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since I have had this mindset of just come, just come, and if you vibe with how I'm vibing, and we rolling how we rolling, we gonna continue to roll.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not rolling and you feel uncomfortable around me, or you just feel like something about me is not meshing with you, we don't have to be. But it's not gonna be because I impose something on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Because I respect me. So there are certain things that I'm just not gonna even do. And if you get around me and you see that and that's a threat for you, then I can't help you with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, that goes back to we all have things that we need to work on. We're gonna forever have things that we need to work on.
Mm,
But it's like I really one of my biggest things, like even with Tyrone, is accepting me for who I am. That's
mm,
the biggest things I love him for is that he accepts me. I might get on his nerves, right? Because he'd
yeah,
be like, this one here. But I can be me
mm-hmm,
authentically, right? I don't have to show up no certain type of way, or if you don't do this, then I don't love you anymore. No.
yeah. That authenticity, and I think that's the beautiful thing about marriage, because again, going back to the garden, it was Adam and Eve in there together. So if you can't be yourself with your spouse, then why are you with them?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
you should be able to get fully naked with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care. Like, they should see you at your highest highs, your lowest lows, your angriest. Like, they should be able to see you at all of that, and you not feel ashamed of any of it.
Mm-hmm. And
You just should
sometimes
be
I
so
think that,
free.
yeah, I think that that's a process, because it
Oh
is the
yeah.
blending of the two, right? Like sometimes, yes, that's how it should be. But if you haven't seen that model, um, if you're maybe have some insecurities within yourself, it may be difficult for you to show up in that way. But yeah, ultimately, that is the goal, right? Like I should be able to be whoever I am.
Not saying that you should go around mistreating people,
Right. No.
but what I'm saying is you should be able to be whoever you are in front of those people, and love should convict you if it's not right.
Hmm.
If you truly are saying that you love that person, you don't have to be worried and have these rules to say, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. Love will let you know what you should and shouldn't do.
Yeah. Right. Um, and I don't think that it's our responsibility to. So if you see somebody who does something that's different than you, it's not
Mhm.
your response. You can talk about it. I think, it's good to talk about it because sometimes maybe your eyes see a different perspective, right? But for me
Mhm.
to come and say, you do such and such, girl, why you do that?
Yeah,
Or to really like challenge what it is that you're doing because that may be where you're at, right?
that's
But
none of my business.
yeah, love should, if I feel like it's something wrong, then I can take that to God, right? And ask God to open up their eyes, not me try to change them.
Oh, I had the biggest problem with that. I used to have the biggest problem with that. It was called, what is that called? It's called messianic syndrome.
Oh, all
When
right.
you think that you are the Messiah, you're the Savior,
Oh.
and that you have to be the one, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen because you make it happen, kind of thing.
Mm,
And that no everybody that meets me has to be changed miraculously by just being in my presence, and just having that kind of mindset to where now it's like, look, I don't care who you are, I don't care what kind of life you live in. Now, does how you live, may that dictate my boundaries around you? Absolutely.
exactly. Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean you have to change you. That just means I need to change me.
Right. Exactly. That's the point, right? It's about me. Ultimately, it's about something show up because I may need to put in the work. I may need to change me, right? That's not saying, yeah, like you say, I may have to set a different boundary with you because, like, if that's what you choose to do, okay, but that may not be what I choose to do. That don't mean that I love you any less. It's just the fact that that don't fit with where I'm at.
And that's just where now if somebody asks for my advice, I'll give it.
That's
But
different.
I really try to stay away from just giving people unsolicited advice.
That's yeah. I think that's one thing that'll really have people cut you off because it's like,
Oh,
why is that my issue? Like, if you're not asking, evidently you okay.
you good with it.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what, boo? You ain't losing no sleep at night, so why am I?
Yep. I really,
Live your
yeah.
life, boo. Live your
That's
life
something I
because you don't
really
want
had
me.
to
Yeah.
work on. I really had to work on because, yeah, I never heard it called messianic
Yeah.
syndrome.
Syndrome. I
Never.
think that's what it is.
I think mine was perfectionism, like thinking that the person had to be, yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
That's what I used to think. I was a perfectionist, but then I heard a message one day and I was like, you know what, that does sound like. And the thing about that particular syndrome is that because you're doing good, you think that you are being good, and you really are not being good. Like, because you're doing a good work, you're trying to talk to somebody, you're trying to help them. I'm trying to help them, I'm trying to make them better, and all these things. You don't see that what you're doing is causing more harm than good.
I'm gonna look that up because that may fit more of where I was,
I
and
think it
still
was
sometimes,
messianic.
yeah,
Mess-
still sometimes show up that way.
It's like
But I
Messiah, like
Oh,
you
the
want to be
Messiah,
a
like you're
Messiah.
the Messiah, right? Like I'm their
Yeah,
savior. If
yeah.
if I don't if I don't show up and help them or save them, they won't get saved. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's probably what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I had that big time, and again, I think that comes from a religious mindset.
I was gonna say that is that makes sense from where I come from
Uh
that
huh.
strict religion. Yeah,
Yeah.
all rules and da da da. Then you try and impose that on other people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. You do, and so I'm just at a point to where now I don't want to live my life like that. I really want to, like, unless you cause me some type of harm that I need to
Hmm.
like bring to your attention, and I need to address that.
Yeah.
Live your life, boo. And
Hmm.
even if you cause me harm and I address it and you ain't getting better, that's for me again to change, not you.
Right. Yep. I got decisions that I need to make then.
I need to make some choices, right? And if I am still upset, then that means that I didn't make the right choices. I don't need to be upset with you.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that for me, that's something that I definitely working on.
Yeah. I said the same thing. Yeah. Me too. Because sometimes it's still, I get in that mindset. And then
Mm-hmm.
I got to reel myself back in like,
Yes.
girl, like, what, that
That
is
ain't your problem.
exactly. Exactly. Yep.
That is
Yep.
not your problem.
Hmm.
Like, when did you put that on your list of problems? Because then you know what? Now you trying to play God. And who
Or when
told you
did
that was
that be?
your job?
There you go. Right. Yeah. If you don't save them, first of all, that is not, you are nobody's savior, you know?
Ooh,
You're supposed to live your life in front of other people, just live your life. And if they see, a lot of times people question. If they want to know, like if they see something, well, I've experienced that with like, sometimes family, they will ask questions like, because they may see you living a certain way and they want to
Yeah.
see how to get there, right? I mean, just this weekend, my niece was like, talking, and then she was like, "Oh, yeah, but I'm still gonna do such such such." Good. I'm not trying to tell you that I'm not. I'm just telling you what it is. If you do you?
Do you, boo? I'm
Yeah,
just telling you, and I think one thing that I learned is when I started to take that off of me, like take other people's problems off of me, it exposed so many of my own flaws that I needed the savior to help me with.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I think a lot of times we practice that type of that type of belief because we don't want to deal with our own issues.
Ooh, that's deep. Yep, I do. Right. It's easier to look at somebody else's than deal with your own stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because they need this. Right. I got it together.
Yeah, I'm good. Like, what are
Yeah.
It takes the light off of you. It takes the spotlight off of you, and it shines it on someone else. And so you just really have to be careful about that because if the light is always shining on somebody else, when do you ever get a moment to have an awareness and awakening?
Yep. That's why I be like, God, show me me. I can't worry about what nobody else is doing. Show me me. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
help me. Help me to change. Help me to
I can
see.
remember. I can remember the first time he turned that mirror around and pointed it at me. Whew,
Yeah,
whew, it almost knocked me down, girl. It was like, woo.
I know that's right.
That's when you had them tears just flowing, just flowing, just flowing, just ooh,
Mm-hmm.
girl. Mm. But it's so good. It hurts so good
Yeah, it does.
because
It's so necessary. Mm-hmm.
it's so necessary. Like it actually makes you feel even better than you thought you felt by trying to save somebody else.
Yeah. I don't want that burden. I don't. I got my own stuff. I got my own stuff I got to work on. I don't need to be trying to figure somebody else's stuff out. Like for real. I mean, even when as a therapist, I be used of God on the session, and then after that, if I give you the tools and stuff, ultimately that's your issue. I can't save you. I can't change you. But that it takes a lot. It takes a lot for especially like therapists, right? If you've had trauma backgrounds and backgrounds where you've had strict, rigid stuff, around you. So that took me a while, but I think that was the same thing as working on seeing myself. As I started to see myself, I was able to pull
Mm-hmm.
back and not carry their stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Because what I'm realizing is a lot of times we attach ourselves to things that we need to fix ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We attach ourselves to people who reflect what we need to change on the inside of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just going so hard. We going so hard. We going so hard. But really, we need to turn it around and do that same. We need to do self work instead of people work.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I said. I said in this one like reel. Um, when you first become a therapist, you think it's about helping other people. In reality, it's all about helping you because you're
Mm,
going to see you through your clients.
absolutely. Yep.
Everything about it is going to reflect back to you.
Because it's so, like you said, especially if you have a trauma background or like anything like that, and because when they come in there, they're gonna trigger things.
Exactly. Yep. And you're
Mm-hmm.
going to think back like, man, I need to help them because, I didn't have somebody to help me and all kind
Oh,
of stuff.
and you'll jump and overreach and be doing more than what you should because what you need to do is be worried about you, not them.
Exactly. You'll be trying to, actually, you'll be doing more. It's a thing like getting ahead of your client, right? If you get ahead
Oh,
of your client, you'll never help them because now
oh,
you're trying to do it and then you become an enabler, right? They don't
oh.
have the space to change. because now, ooh, you got to save them. It's that whole thing. You got to do it. If you don't do it, who's gonna do it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'll be like,
Mhm.
I can't do more than what you willing to do. I know that was a hard beginning of being a therapist was
Yeah,
a lot of hard work, you know,
I can see
hard,
that. Self
hard
work.
work.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yep.
like,
Because you had to be willing to let it go, even if they was willing to let it go, you also had to be willing to let it go.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if they're okay where they are, you
You got
know,
to be okay with where they are.
exactly, it's for them, right? So why are you trying to basically you're trying to make things perfect and they don't want that where they're at.
They're
They cool.
okay. Hmm.
Yeah, they cool where they at.
Or you have set expectations way to the sky,
Yeah,
and they're nowhere near that.
exactly.
So
That's
you
why
have,
it's important to know their goals. We can create goals for them, and I don't even know if I want that.
and this is the thing that I realized too. I'm teaching goals this week at school, so it's been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the way I explained it to them, because my pastor actually talked about it too on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And what them being kids, I was like, I want you to think about it like this. An expectation is the ceiling. I mean, it's the floor. It's something you can touch. It's just right there. A goal is the ceiling. It's something that you're trying to touch, trying to achieve, trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Your expectations, that's the bare minimum. You put your foot down on the ground, that's what you put your foot in. That's your morals, that's your standards, that's your values. Whereas goals is where you aspire to be. And you can't be so hard on yourself if you're not walking in your goals,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a path that you must take. I told him, like, you have to get a ladder to be able to touch it. You have to think, you have to plan it out. Goals take planning to
And work.
achieve and
Yeah.
work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm really, it takes time with goals,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know.
And
It
sometimes
takes
lots of it.
consistency. It takes
Mm.
patience.
Yeah.
So much with goals. And so I'm learning that, even, being a mom in this stage of life, helping her to learn what goals truly are and really walking that out with her. Because if I can do that with her now, then you know what kind of adult she would be later.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I know you are at the game.
I'm just at the field today. I'm at practice with her, but I've been coming to her practices because I need to see something. I need to see something.
Well, yeah, she need to see, but she need to see your face out there, you know. So we did an hour, you know. So I want you to spend time with her. We'll be back on next week.
Okay, girl. I got another about hour out here, and then we'll be headed home.
That'll be 9 o'clock your time.
Yes. Yep. That's about right.
Well, yeah, it's part of goals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what you're teaching, right? It's part of goals.
Yes. The commitment
That's
and
right.
dedication.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I will talk to you. Well, I'll talk to you before then, but if
Yeah.
not, we'll be on next week sometime, whenever, you know, whenever time
Whenever we'll get on
allows.
here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, friend.
All right. See ya.
See you later.
All right. Bye.